What up, Bills Mafia? Z-Bat with you. Wednesday, January 21st. You'll have to bear with me. I've been extremely sick the last couple of days. I mean, what a weekend. Honest to God, what a weekend. Bills season ends in heartbreak fashion. Sean McDermott fired. I immediately get what feels to be 9 different variations of the flu and the stomach bug at once. Still battling through that, but had to hop on and talk about what we just watched at One Bills Drive, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly what it is that we watched at One Bills Drive. It was the season-ending press conference between, of course, the mic's not on. Why wouldn't it be? Sure. One sec.
Better now, ladies and gentlemen. How are we? How are we looking? But we better now. Yes, yes. Mic off, mic off, mic off. Is the mic on? Yay, nay. Well, how are we looking here? Is the mic on? Good. Okay, great. Okay. Anyhow, yeah. So I've been going through just about the worst past weekend you could possibly have, right? I mean, Bills lose, dramatic fashion, awful. McDermott fired, and as I said that you couldn't hear me because the mic wasn't on, I've been having about every different variation of the flu and stomach bug you could possibly imagine over the last 24 hours as well. So I'm going through it. But I had to fight through it in order to come on here real quick and talk about what we just saw from One Bills Drive, which I have absolutely no idea what that was. We just got a season-ending press conference between the remaining regime of the Beane, McDermott, Pagula era. Obviously, that is now just Beane and Pagula, and I don't know what I just watched. At initial glance, and we'll watch it. I'm going to try to make it so we can kind of comb through this entire thing here. My initial glance is that felt like let's take the podium, prop Brandon Beane up on a pedestal as high as we possibly can. Let's pin as much of the failures of this team as of late on the Sean McDermott on the way out the door as much as we can and move on. This whole thing, the way this is all transpired has been a horrific look on an organization that has been nothing but class for the last decade or so. It's already beginning to unravel. A lot of people who wanted Sean McDermott gone, the one thing they did not factor in is what the organization had become underneath of him, what it had represented itself as, what they had become collectively beyond the results on the field. You are now starting to see, with him gone for now, 48 hours, the unraveling from top to bottom of this franchise. They're going to have some pieces to pick up awfully quickly here. Because if you go on social media right now, there isn't a soul, at least a soul with any common sense that I've seen watch this whole situation unfold and say, the Bills are knocking this out of the park. I haven't really seen a damn person say that, not one. In fact, I've seen the opposite. This has been a swing and a miss since the first pitch. And I'm honestly like sad about it. I'm sad about it. This is sad. We're approaching sad territory because I'm starting to lose grip on the fact. I'm starting to lose grip on the reality that is what the Bills once were might not be the Bills moving forward here. Once again, everybody who wanted McDermott gone can't get it done, can't win one. I don't think people understood the stabilization that he brought to the franchise. I don't think people understood the rock that he was, the nucleus that the franchise centered around that allowed them to be one of the more exemplary franchises in sports. And within 2 days now, I'm watching the complete opposite happening, where we got typos. We have typos in farewell letters to your coach of 9 years. You don't even post your coach's farewell note on your socials. It takes you over 24 hours to put out a thank you coach video. I now watch this press conference, and I got basically Terry Pagula telling me the faults of this team lie almost entirely on that of Sean McDermott, down to the point in which Brandon Beane wasn't even at fault for drafting Keon Coleman, who, by the way, is still on the team. The Buffalo Bills owner essentially made it seem as though the Keon Coleman pick was disastrous, but it wasn't Brandon Beane's fault. And by the way, that guy's still on the team. What are we doing? Pagula was asked, essentially why McDermott was fired. More or less, he said it was because of the state of the locker room afterwards. He was asked if he was going to be fired after the AFC Championship or he was going to be fired after the Super Bowl or whatever, should they have gotten there. I don't want to speculate. Basically said he was fired because of Saturday. You want to fire the guy, fine. But to me, once again, the idea that Saturday was the backbreaker in all of this. I'm going to try to pull this up. My audio never likes to work. Hopefully it does this time around. Let's pull this up and just walk through it. I mean, this felt like Uncanny Valley to me. I don't even know what I was watching. It didn't feel right. I don't really know how else to put it. Watching this didn't feel right. It felt, I said on Twitter, it felt something stinks here. Something stinks here. Didn't feel right at all. And I don't know quite how to explain it. But I've been watching this team my entire life. I've been watching these press conferences my entire life. Something didn't feel right about this at all. And I got to try to put my finger on it. One second. Let me try to pull it up here. Oh, we got Rag Daddy who loves it so much. Why y'all crying so much? I like what did you like so much about what they said? That all the failures were on McDermott. Nobody else did any wrong. What did you like so much about what they said? What is it that they said in your opinion? I genuinely am asking you. What did they say in your opinion that has you so jazzed about the future? What did they say about what did they say about this team moving forward that doesn't have us all looking like pussies in your opinion? Baghdaddy. You let me know. What did you hear from that had you feeling so overly optimistic about them throwing their coach of nearly a decade completely under the bus, a wide receiver they just drafted 2 years ago who's still on the team under the bus? I mean, what has you feeling so great about what you just heard? Seriously, I'd like to know. Let me know if you guys can hear this. Probably not, right? Let me try a setting real quick. I don't know why this never ever plays. Oh, I'm messing with some settings here. I mean, you figured it wouldn't be that difficult to play something. For God's sakes. Just hang tight. Let me try to find a way to fix this. I knew this was going to happen to it. The one time I needed to work, like the literal one time I needed to work. Oh, sorry, God, I'm falling apart, dude. You guys can't hear that, right? Can you guys hear this now? Hold on. How about right now? Anybody hear? Can you guys hear that? You guys can hear it, yep. All right, about time. But I got multiple people saying no and multiple people saying yes. So is it a yes or a no? So you can't hear this. You can or you can't. Played for a little, but what about now? Wait, Brian's saying he can hear it. It's working now. So we got a big no, a big old no. Then no, can't work, can't work. Excellent. Ain't that great? Okay, hold on. How about now? Nothing. But you guys were able you were able to hear it for a second at some point. You were able to hear it for a second at some point. Is that what you're saying to me? Came on for about 3 seconds. I'm gonna try it again right now. Something else. Let's just try this. This is going through my computer. You still can't hear this?
We are focused on bringing a Super Bowl to Buffalo. We have an MVP quarterback in Josh Allen. I'm looking forward to having a successful coaching search.
Wow, something works.
I know this is a desirable job. Our phones are ringing, and we're going to begin that process.
All right.
So I'm
The reason we have to bring this up, I would have talked about it otherwise. We've got to watch we have got to watch this. Okay. I can't just sit in. How do I sound, by the way? Do I still sound as good as I always do, or do I sound like crap because I had to turn off another setting? Do I sound fine? I sound fine. Oh, yeah, Sean. Bot and Rico defended Beane all night yesterday. Oh, yeah, we did. Where have you been? Sean, you do this all the time. You do this all the time, Sean. You're in the comment section telling Rico and I that we said things that we've never said before. I don't understand why you continuously keep doing this. Every time I look in the corner of my eye, it's you telling me that I said something that I never said before. Did you not watch my show yesterday? How critical I was of this? Don't ever disrespect me. Don't disrespect me. Did you not watch my show yesterday? Are you out of your mind? Did you not watch my show yesterday where I went on a 3-hour rant about how I could not possibly believe? I could not. What are you talking about? Whatever. I'm not doing this right now. What did you say, Sean? I said bot. Rico defended him. I didn't say. Oh my God. You said bot and Rico. Whatever. All right, Sean, let bygones be bygones. I said, I'm sorry. What am I? No, look at this is what you said, Sean. There's no comma next to bot. So you understand my confusion here? Bot Rico defended Beane all night. I was on yesterday as well. There was no comma next to that. So, come on. Now that you put the comma in, I'm understood, Sean. Let's virtually handshake. I'm sorry, brother. Okay. I'm just a little heated up because this is about the worst last 48 to 56 some hours of being a Bills fan in some time here. I mean, seriously. All right, let's start this over. We're just going to pick this piece by piece. And once again, Sean saying, I love you, bot. It's all good. Me too, Sean. I'm sick. I'm sick. I'm just sick. And I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this. And I'm sorry, Sean. I look down and I'm reading your comment. You're like, you defended Beane. And I'm like, I'm losing it. I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Oh, okay. Forget it. Sorry. Sean, you're the man. You're one of our most loyal supporters. I love you too. I'm sorry. Let's move on. Is this full screen? There we go. Okay, so here we go. Now that we are 20 minutes, can you believe we are 20 minutes into what has already been the worst 20-minute broadcast on the history of this show? I apologize for this. Took me 20 minutes to figure out how to do the audio. Another 5 minutes for me and Sean to figure out how a comma works. Okay. Also, me telling you that I have been sick and this and that, whatever. It's done. We are starting over now. What is up, Buffalo Fanatics? Z-Bot here with you on the Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel, live to talk to you about this BS, okay? This is where the show starts. Put it in the comment section, 22, 25. This is when the show starts, okay? So, obviously, by now, as you know, the Bills lose Saturday. Season done. Divisional round of the Denver Broncos. Okay? 48 hours removed, Sean McDermott is fired. We're just going to run through this and then I'll give you my thoughts. What also needs to be added into that, of course, is the fact that Brandon Beane is not only not fired, he is promoted. Okay, here we go. This is also Terry Pagula addressing the media, who, I mean, when does he ever really address the media? Ever? This is a very rare instance as well. Here we go.
Thanks, everyone, for showing up. Is this on? Is it working? Okay. First, I want to thank Sean McDermott for all the work he's done in Buffalo over the last 9 years. We all remember the playoff drought before Sean got here. Sean has definitely left the Buffalo Bills in a better place than when he arrived in 2017. He gave his heart and soul to trying to win a championship. I gave Sean his first head coaching job, and I'm proud of that. I don't think he's done coaching in this league, and I wish him the best. I also want to thank him and his wife, Jamie, for the kind words and thoughts that they gave to me when Kim had her sudden cardiac arrest. And, you know, it was really encouraging for all the kind thoughts that they gave our family while we were going through that ordeal. My decision to bring in a new coach.
You know what? Okay, so I'm going to do a timeout right there. Okay, so I'm going to do a timeout right there. What's the timestamp here? Okay, Sean McDermott gave you 9 years of his life resurrecting this franchise. 9 years of his life resurrecting this franchise. And what does that result in? a minute and a half long, half-hearted thank you? Nearly a decade of re-imaging what the Buffalo Bills are. One of the most beloved coaches, but you can tell right now, by the way, I know there were plenty of people who wanted him gone. But you can see the outpouring of love and support from that guy, not only from the fan base, but from the players, everyone internally the last couple of days. You give nearly a decade of your life to retransforming this franchise, and that is the thank you. I'm sorry if I find that to be a little lackluster. I think that's a little lackluster in my opinion. We all remember the drought. No, we all don't just remember the drought, Terry. We lived through the drought for nearly 20 years, agonizing years. And Sean McDermott comes in and completely changes what this team was from top to bottom. And I just think a minute off the bat, I don't know. Signified saying, what do I want him to do? Cry like the players were? No, but I'd like a little bit more passion, a little bit more heart, a little more sincerity. That's all. That's all.
Was based on the results of our game in Denver. I want to take you in the locker room after that game. I looked around. First thing I noticed was our quarterback with his head down, crying. I looked at all the other players. I looked at their faces and our coaches. I walked over to Josh. He didn't even acknowledge I was there. First thing I said to him, I said, that was a catch. We all know what I'm talking about. He didn't acknowledge me. He just sat there sobbing. He was listless. He had given everything he had to try to win that game. And looking around, so did all the other players on the team. I saw the pain in Josh's face at his presser, and I felt his pain. I know we can do better, and I know we will get better. I want to express my confidence in the guy sitting next to me, Brandon Beane, and the job he has done in resurrecting this franchise. I'm not going to sit here and
to those just a minute ago who said, cry, bah, cry, are we listening to the right thing? So Sean McDermott's completely to blame here. Casts off, gets a minute thank you out the door, a 1 minute thank you out the door. Then he pretty much just says the decision to fire him, thank God I got my main man in the background waiting to join me here in just a second because I need some help on this one. Okay? Because I got people in here telling me, go cry about it, this and that. Listen. You get a minute long goodbye. Rico, you get a minute long goodbye to coach. To then follow that up by saying, I walked into that locker room and I saw the faces and what they put out on display. Didn't say how much it hurt Sean McDermott. Didn't say how much effort he put into it. I got all the faith in the world on the guy next to me. Why is Sean McDermott being painted in the light in which he is enemy number one? Enemy number one.
Let me tell you something. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Am I echoing?
No.
Okay. I don't know what you said so far, so this is going to be...
I barely started because it took me 20 minutes to get the damn audio to work. Not even kidding.
All right, let me just say this. I'm echoing. Let me come back and try to fix myself.
Yeah, not going on my end.
All right. Hold on a sec.
I'm going to pull this back a little bit so we can go where Rico's at.
he just sat there sobbing.
54 minutes long, God. It's so weird how some things will sound good on your guys' end and not on my end, and bad on my end and your end. This is weird. Let me hear you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Now I'm echoing when you're on your end.
I'm just looking at the chat.
I can deal with it though, as long as it doesn't sound bad on everybody else's end.
5 minutes, maybe 10. All right, Jeff King says he can hear me. Ah, damn it, it's still echoing. All right, hold on.
Echo be damned. What do you got? You got 5 minutes. Say your piece.
Hold on. No, I gotta say my piece. I really do. Okay, hold on. How about now? Echoing.
Sounds better now.
Chat. Talk to me. Echoing.
Not echoing on my end. I'll just say
Chat. Talk to me. All right, listen. I'm gonna try to get this out of my chest. Okay. I'll do my best. That echo. Damn it. Hold on. Get you.
Hold on. Let me try something on my end.
Check.
I had to turn auto echo cancellation off because I had to play the
I don't
video.
hear my echo.
It's because I had to turn it off to play the video for some reason.
My man got bag says we good. All right, here we go. Do you want to start or me? Should I get going?
Oh, go ahead, because I'm going to be on here for at least an hour.
I was absolutely embarrassed by what took place on that press conference. Never allow Terry Pagula to ever get behind a microphone ever again. You embarrassed the team. You embarrassed Brandon Beane. You embarrassed the fan base. Now, if I was looking to be a coach coming to Buffalo and that's my owner, bro, I'm out. This guy was an utter shut your mouth. First and foremost, you have a pep talk with that senile old man and say, hey, listen to me. When we get out there, just answer the questions, make your opening statement, and shut up and let me do the talking. That didn't happen. Fine, you talk. How do you have the absolute you're not present? So they say you're never around. Okay, fine. You come into the locker room after these guys just lost the game. They're defeated, deflated. And you looked around and you saw all the sad faces and you said, that's it. He's got to go. Are you kidding me? We just lost. We're not even processing right now. I went over to my quarterback to say, that was a catch. I ain't trying to hear that was a catch. I'm not trying to hear that was a catch. I just I just gave the ball away 4 times. I gifted these guys 3 points. Give me a break. Total embarrassment. You know how you have secondhand embarrassment? That was me. I'm watching this press conference. First of all, I'm embarrassed by the audio crew. I'm sitting here, got my ear to my laptop trying to listen. Can't hear a thing. So I'm basing on what these guys are answering. Total embarrassment. Listen, am I tripping? Please, in the chat, let me know if I'm out of pocket. Okay. Now, we all know press conferences like this, you want to be as diplomatic as possible, meaning don't bury the coach, don't bury any players. Just try to be as generic as possible. Let the writers come to their own conclusions based on what I say. Did you hear this brother say, hey, what was the cause of whatever he said? A bad call. The worst part is I had my head down listening and I heard a bad call. I came back to the screen. I was like, where'd that come from? Terry Pagula said that. A bad call. So now what you're going to have people saying, what bad call? What was the bad call? Who made the bad call? Who made the bad call? What was the bad call? You bring up Keon Coleman. The guy's still on the team. He's watching the press conference. So you don't think he's going to go to his agent and be like, bro, they didn't even want me here. Why'd they even bring me here? And then you go online and you see Brandon Beane talking about, man, he ran a 4.5. Maybe we can get him. Cap. If you're going to get up there and do a press conference, speak the truth and speak as much as you can. But it didn't help that he brought his clown show counterpart, Terry Pagula, to talk with him. I don't care if I'm being harsh at all.
We brought him up there because he's the reason he's still there. That's blatantly apparent. Blatantly.
I can understand why he said, you're the president president and all that. You might as well just give Brandon Beane the ownership.
He basically is.
This guy doesn't know diddly squat.
He doesn't know anything.
There's no diddly squat, and that's why you don't hear from him, right? What a stark difference between Eric Biscotti, right? Biscotti, he was on the money. He was talking. You didn't see somebody next to him. He was on the money talking about this.
Does that look like a guy that's in command to you? Does that look like a guy that's in command of a multi-billion-dollar franchise to you right there?
I totally understand the dismay and the anger Bills fans have with this guy when owning the Sabres. Now he's brought that nonsense over. You don't fire a head coach. First of all, I know for a fact Terry Pagula is lying. He a liar. He lying, he capping, he talking BS. That's number one. There ain't no way you made that decision right then and there in that locker room while you're watching all the players in their sadness.
I don't want to speculate. I don't want to speculate.
What kind of answer is that? I don't want to speculate. Man, shut your ass up and answer the question.
No chance. I walked into the locker room and I saw Josh crying. That means it's. How do you know why he was crying? Maybe he was crying. Like, dude, that they were crying damn near the last 3 years. You made that. So you mean to tell me you make this decision because Brandon Cooks' catch gets overturned and you lose by a field goal in overtime? This is why you make this decision? And ultimately you fall up short, yet Brandon Beane has nothing to do with the shortcomings. In fact, nothing to do with the shortcomings. He's the leader in charge now of finding the person that's going to overcome the shortcomings that he was just as much a part of. This was an absolute embarrassment for the Buffalo Bills today, this morning. Absolutely.
This did more harm than good. This did more harm than good. McFly says, Rico, you're tripping. McFly, go eat a bag. Go eat a bag.
There's a ton of this in here. I don't know. I'm this close to turning the comments off. Because
go eat a bag quietly in the corner. Go. Dip. All right? Here's my thing. When this whole is all said and done. Now you got to end this press conference. Now you've opened up way more questions. Way more questions. If you thought you were in the headlines now, bro, we're going to be talking about these bills. And it's not positive chatter. It's negative.
That's the thing. The pressure on this team this offseason. You thought there was pressure the last 2 years to go get it done. Now, how about not only having that same pressure, but now having that pressure over on top of an owner that completely just gave you a chopped mixed salad that you'd get over at the Wegmans Cold Bar, and on top of having to get a new head coach. The pressure has now doubled from what it once was.
Okay. So Signified says you guys are cherry picking a little. He said 3 minutes later he thinks that we hit a proverbial wall, playoff wall, and I think he's
that's his only takeaway. That's Signified's only takeaway. I've already talked about this.
So Signified.
There's a 55-minute press conference in here, Signified.
So
55
Signified,
minutes.
We hit a proverbial wall. He's right. Some might say we hit the wall. Did
Beane not hit a proverbial wall? I don't understand.
Listen, the owner hit a proverbial wall. The owner, the GM hit a proverbial wall, and how he's been drafting. The whole team has hit a wall. How about you take more than 72 hours to process what's happening? Let's have a sit down chat and go from there. This was an impulse fire, and him interjecting every time Beane was getting into something and made things worse. Be quiet. I wanted to reach through the screen and grab Pagula's mouth and say, shut it. Just sit there and be quiet and let the grown folk talk. And the fact that they were trying to get answers out of Beane was not being truthful as well. I got to keep it a buck. He wasn't being truthful. One of the big questions was, why didn't you get fired? Why are you still here? And McDermott got fired. He skirted around that, right? What are you supposed to say? Roster. That's your roster. Explain more. Get into more detail. We want to know. Give it to some of the questions that were asked. There were some really good questions asked. I'm trying to go back and try to remember, but I can't.
Well, that's what we're about to do.
Yeah, I cannot get over how Pagula made things way worse. Way worse. So the only way this can be fixed, the only way me as a fan, I'll speak for myself, the only way me as a fan will not be on these guys' necks from everything they do is if they hire the right guy. Hire the right guy that can make everybody forget about things, and Beane better work his ass off in free agency. He's going to have to work twice as hard now because players are going to be like, yo, you want me to go over there? For what? Guess what? It's going to be Buffalo has to overpay again. That's going to be the destination. When I go to Buffalo, now I was ready to take a discount. Discount my black ass. I'm not doing that no more. I'm getting paid. Golly, man. I'm in.
By the way, I got into it with Sean K earlier a little bit because he forgot to use a comma and said, Bot Rico, you've been defending Beane this whole time. Now you're shocked by this. He said that you were defending Beane last night. I missed the show. So you want to elaborate a little bit on that?
He's an idiot. I'll just say it. You're being ridiculous. I was giving the opinion on what it looks like from Beane's side and what it looks like from McDermott's side. We don't have all the information. So all of it was speculation. So picking a side, I said very clearly, if I'm going to pick one guy, we said it before, I would rather fire Beane and keep McDermott if that decision was made for us. So what you going to say? The wrong guy was fired. Too late. We got to deal with it. And guess what? We're going to cheer for this team regardless of what anybody's saying. You can be all huff and puff all you want. 3 months from now, when Beane makes a flashy pick, we're gonna be right back on it. So y'all with this fake madness that y'all got going on, get over it. But today was not good. I see Pierre in the chat right now, and what's Pierre? Pierre's an instigator, by the way, guys. Don't let Pierre get to you. This guy's a major instigator.
Yeah, I looked at my phone. The first thing I saw was I liked what I saw from that press conference. I immediately said, I'm going live. I can't. They're not a thing I can text in there. That's going to do me any justice. I'm going live. I mean, this is the problem, though, is that we will watch things like this. We'll eat it all up. Whatever we're told to do to turn to the next page and make it seem like the future's as bright as it's ever been, we'll take a bite of it. And I'm losing faith right now. Yeah, this last year has really been a cup. You have had chunks and chunks of moments that have allowed you to take a step back and say, man, this is not going in the direction I thought it once was. And now you're really getting to that point. I mean, this past weekend has been a very, very bad look on Buffalo, in my opinion. This franchise was not nearly ready for what was to come from this firing. They were not expecting the public support that McDermott had. They were not expecting the public resentment for Brandon Beane. They were not expecting that. And then on top of it here, Rico, they were expecting it all to just kind of be covered up with this whole, well, it was another playoff loss, this and that. But then again, like, you are not cleaning the house that was involved with it. You are only going with one piece of the puzzle.
I would love to, and sincerely I ask this, I would love for someone to super chat it. I don't care. Capitalize it so we can see it. What was good about what you saw and heard in this press conference? Honestly, I'm trying to find the positive.
From what I read, people like that they said the obvious, and it was 7 playoff failures in a row. Something needs to change. Yeah.
Facts. We knew
that.
No
kidding. We all agree. Yeah. You're not telling. No. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, we knew that. Thank you very much. Anything else?
Actually, I was waiting for 10 playoff failures in order to make a change. I'm fine with the playoff change. It's a matter of, let's completely pin it on Sean McDermott, pay him no respect out the door, and promote Brandon Beane. Oh, okay. That seems like an adequate way to address it.
It seemed like they weren't even ready for questions, bro. They looked unprepared. They absolutely looked unprepared, not ready. And
how much time you got? Because I'm going to dive into this. I got to watch this.
Hold on. I'll let you dive because I'm going to leave. I'm going to let you dive. You can dive all the way in.
Well, I don't got all day, so.
What did you have to understand the pulse of the fan base. They're pissed. They're annoyed. Come with all your receipts and your armor, because we have been giving it to the media guys saying, you better ask those questions and get in there. So they did their job. And y'all come up with these weak ass answers. Bro, I'm sick of it. Bro, right now, I'm on their ass all off season. I'm on their ass. I'm on Brandon's ass. I'm on whoever's head coach that comes in. I'm on his ass, man. This is embarrassing. Listen, I know you don't have all day. I had to jump on here because I'm like, you know what? If
I didn't know if you could hang out or not.
Listen, I said, if I know Bot and I know him well, he's live right now.
Yes.
And here you are. So listen.
No, I was just hoping you could sit and watch with me, but I guess you can't. So.
Listen, I can. It's just that I'm on my lunch, but I got stuff to do. I gotta go finish some stuff and paperwork. Anyway, long story short, I'll be watching. I'll be commenting. Do not listen to Pierre. Pierre's an instigator, but I also love Pierre for him having he's a glass half full, damn near full type guy.
Overflow.
I love him for that because I don't know how he does it. I don't know if it's just
I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing?
I have to hop on here, man.
What are we doing here? Yeah, we can hear you. Hold
on. I can't hear you guys. Hold on. Give me 1 second.
Oh, here we go.
Here you go. You might need to just call out the rest of the day.
I got to get my stuff together. Hold on. I'll be back.
Rico, just call out the rest of the day. I'll tell you what. I'm not going to be able to sit here for a half an hour of Pierre trying to sell me on what I just heard. That's the last thing I'm going to be able to do here.
Well, what do you take from it?
I wanted to sit, but before the whole squad jumped in, I wanted to sit here and break it down piece by piece so I could then have an adequate takeaway. That was the whole point here, to sit down with the squad and then get an adequate takeaway from each piece. That's, you see what I'm saying here?
Seriously, Antoine. Seriously. You can only laugh. That's why, I'm glad that I don't get offended and all that stuff, because people just say silly stuff. But I'm curious as to what my man has to say.
Fellas, what's going on?
Floor is yours, Pierre, because I want to watch this thing and break it down. So you tell me what I look for to be so positive about this before I get into it.
All right. As far as it's so positive, no. First, I will sit here and say that now it's clear how the Sabres have been ran for so many years. It's obvious that Terry is a very, passionate / emotional owner. It seems like he's making decisions, based off of his emotion. And that is, I'm not the biggest fan of that, but I also understand the idea of, something had to give. He went in the locker room. He saw the entire damn locker room crying. He goes to Josh and it's like, yo, Josh, I'm trying to, oh no, it's, and Josh was like, chill. Him being emotional, that affected him. I guess my whole defense is it's like, we're assuming, because it's an assumption at this point, and Terry made it clear, listen, it was me. My emotional ass in that locker room, that's when I made my decision. It had nothing to do with Brandon Beane, him, behind closed doors saying, oh, yeah, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, he's the owner of the team. Now, how he did it, okay, that I'm not debating that. That was kind of, McDermott, he deserves a little more, respect than that. But it was a Terry Pagula decision. Period, point blank. It has nothing to do with Brandon.
You know what I tell my kids when they're too upset and they're too emotional to make a decision because they're not really thinking? I say, yo, chill out for a sec. Have a moment, breathe, come back, and we'll talk. You can't go into a locker room seeing all these people crying and then go, I made my decision. That's it right now.
Yeah, but you
can't make decisions on emotion.
But you would have to know. Okay, listen. We all know that we can't do this as fans. We can't do this. We've been crying for Sean McDermott to get fired for years now.
No, all of us. Who's we?
Listen, the 13-second game, we've heard many a times.
Okay, Pierre, the 13-second game was 4 years ago.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day.
It absolutely 100% does matter. It absolutely 100%.
We've been wanting this team to go Super Bowl for how many years now? At the end of the day,
so if that's
something had to change.
If all the tears and all the crying in the locker room results in a change, then why does Brandon Beane get promoted?
Okay, so all right. So again, saying that that Terry is an extremely emotional guy, you would really want him to hire both the GM and head coach? Would you want him to make that decision, knowing damn well
Oh,
Sabres team
the guy who was
has been hot ass.
the failures this whole time make the decision. Is that any better?
This team was a catch away from possibly going to the Super Bowl. This team is not a bad team. For people to sit here and say,
then why fire coach?
Because something had to change. Why
I don't think we
the
disagree
entire
with that.
organization?
Something did have to
had to change.
We don't disagree with that.
Why move on from everything? That's excessive when this team has been good enough to win it the last 5 years. We cannot deny that, can we?
Well,
we can't deny this team has had a team to win the Super Bowl 5 years in a row.
First of all, we know that Terry Pagula don't know nothing about don't know damn football. He doesn't know anything about football because when he hired McDermott, he didn't hire McDermott. It was Whaley that hired McDermott. He got the GM to go and find that head coach. And then as soon as McDermott came in, bro, they fired off emotion probably. They fired Whaley and then had McDermott go and get his boy from Panthers. This guy doesn't know diddly squat. So I totally get if he doesn't know enough to fire them both to go and make a football decision. So I understand why they kept the president, right? I got to call the president now. Let me ask you this. Did you cringe watching this or were you like totally fine? This is a good press conference.
The only time I ever cringed was when Terry felt the need to say, oh, no, the Keon pick, that was McDermott. And I was like, you probably shouldn't have said that. But I do like the fact that he was over here. He's championing his damn decision. And at the end of the day, you want your owner to back you, man. You know?
He sure as hell didn't back Coach McDermott. That's for sure.
Yo, I'm going to back out.
He backed his GM. He didn't back his head coach. He gave him a minute-long goodbye after 9 years. Minute-long goodbye.
Yeah, but I think we're a little too emotional about that, man.
You know what? No, see this. No, that's
get him, get him.
That's a crock. You give him a minute-long goodbye. You
want him to give him a half an hour? Like, what more do you want me to say?
But you're coming on here defending the fact that Beane gets another 3 years. Maybe give Sean
why not?
5 minutes.
Why not though?
But why not McDermott, Pierre? I mean, what are we? You're just sitting here defending Pagula because it's the decision he already made.
No, you're defending him. I'm not even here.
What are you defending? I'm confused.
I'm defending the fact that Beane deserved to keep his job. That's what I'm defending.
Why?
Because of the roster. Listen,
some folks are saying the roster's not good enough.
But again, you cannot sit here and tell me that we haven't had a championship roster the last 5 years in a row. You cannot say that. There's no way you can say that we have a top offense, fucking damn near a top defense 5 years in a row. And it's all McDermott? It's all Josh Allen? Like, come on.
But
We've had a roster this entire time.
But none of it's Beane.
No. I mean, yes, it's Beane.
I gotta go. I'll talk to you guys. Peace. I gotta go.
Of course it's Beane. But again, so you're saying with a team that we've had, we're even Terry said it. We're 13 seconds. Again, I'm not defending the firing of Sean McDermott. I'm just defending that it doesn't make any sense for us to fire both. I understand why fans want to fire both, but that's emotional in my opinion, right? Because we were like Terry being emotional for for when he fired McDermott. Okay, I probably wouldn't have done it like that. But it is what it is. Now to fire Beane just because it's wild to me. It's wild to me only because I personally feel this team right here. Brian Bauer says that this team is Allen-centric, always has been. We still have Allen. We still have him. He ain't going nowhere. This team has been, roster-wise, has been good enough to win the Super Bowl 5 years in a row. It's not like we're going into playoffs by luck. It's not like we're winning these playoff games by luck. It's not even like we're losing these playoff games like, we're getting smashed. It's 13 seconds, it's a field goal, and it's a catch.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we're like this close. We're this close. So all Terry felt was that, okay, I have to make a move. I guess, Sean, you got to go. Now, again, I'm not debating that. I mean, I'll give y'all that. If y'all want to be mad at that, fine. But we have the roster. The only part of the roster that you can sit here and say that we didn't have, and I'll let you speak about it. I know I'm probably going too long here, but is at wide receiver. You can make an argument every other layer of the team, we had adequate talent. And now, if you want to talk about the D-line, fine, I'll give that to you. But another argument can be made that the D-line rotation scheme could also be the reason why our D-line has never been able to show up. So, but every layer except for at wide receiver is questionable. I mean, that's the only questionable one. But then, here's my last point real quick. I completely understand the reason why Beane said we're good right there. I get it. I get his thought process, the whole, WGR thing. I get why he was, pounding the table as far as, wait. We just came off having an amazing offense. And now it's like, wait a minute, are we really that bad there? So I get it. Now, I mean, it would be nice to have some, guys there, but overall, I'm only trying to defend the fact that I don't think it would have been smart for the owner to fire everyone, because I feel like that would have really put us back, instead of just saying, okay, maybe a different voice in the locker room, that might be that little inch that we need in order to get to the bowl.
I'm not disagreeing with you that a change was needed. In fact, I had said that I understand it completely. What I don't understand is how it's not only a change being made, it is being painted as if Sean McDermott was solely to blame for the struggles of this team. And as a result, Brandon Beane is promoted and is viewed now as this guy that is absolved of all of the issues that the Bills have had over the last 9 years, gets to now champion the lead of yet another head coach hiring. And the way that Terry Pagula phrased a couple of these moments in this press conference doesn't sit right with me either, where he walks in and he essentially says McDermott was fired because of that Denver Broncos game. If there was one game that I feel like that Sean McDermott should not have been fired for, it was that Denver Broncos game. Personally.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. I mean, how Terry handled that whole thing, I'm not sitting here defending that at all. Like, okay, Sean McDermott, he deserved a lot more respect than that. I mean, as far as him as a man and as far as him as a coach, I mean, you can't sit here and deny, how important he was to his organization. What I mean? I mean, I was always a fan of it. Now, again, I always felt like, my biggest beef with Sean McDermott over the years was the fact that he decided to never want to, take control of the play calling. I felt like that was just like, like you're the best to do it. It's your defense. You should be the one calling it. Right. So I've always felt the ways about that. I feel like we probably could have, probably went to the Super Bowl a couple times in these last 7 years if McDermott felt the need to, call the plays himself. But I mean, that's something for another day. But yeah, I'm right there with you. I do think the way that Terry handled this was, suspect. Now, I don't think Beane handled it wrong at all. I think Beane's side of the press conference was solid.
And that's what I got to dive into more here. I got to get better. I got to get a better understanding here. The reason why I have a tough time with it is because I feel like whatever goodwill Beane was trying to recreate for himself here, Terry kind of ruined. And that's why I kind of want to rewatch this here.
Yeah.
Because for every couple moments where it felt like Brandon was going to say the right thing from a PR perspective, Terry kind of nipped that in the butt. And I'm interested to see, because this is what I think happens.
He did.
I think because of this, you don't know what to believe when you have one side saying something and another side saying another. Well, what do I really believe?
Yeah.
I mean, we hear that, and for people in here, and those who are saying, wait, Z-Pat, what did you want him to do? Throw him a parade? Give him a good half-hour speech on the way out. Oh, Shawnee Mick, we're going to miss you, buddy. Here's a half-hour speech. No, but did you not hear that they fired him in 7 minutes? They brought him in the room and fired him within 7 minutes. You give a one-paragraph essay on him in the letter, the press release letter, where you have a typo in the letter. The next three paragraphs in the letter are spent hyping up Brandon Beane and how great of a job he's done and will continue to do. I find that to be the ultimate disrespect to a guy who coached you for nearly a decade. That's all. Whether or not it was deserved or not, I'm not even arguing. Because at the end of the day, like you said, Pierre, like many have said, and like even Pagula said, look at 9 years, no results. I can't sit here and pound the table for another 9 years of doing this. I can't. I've ran out of arguments. All I'm saying is, it's not like you had him coach the team for 3 years and you said, hey, appreciate your time here. The guy was with us for nearly a decade. He was the fourth longest tenured head coach behind Mike Tomlin, Andy Reid, and John Harbaugh. I mean, I'm talking guys who have been coaching since I was back in elementary to middle school. The guy deserved a little bit more than what I think we've saw over the last couple of days. That's how I see it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Now, again, I do think that we kind of, we're not, I'll use the word privy. I think this is the perfect day to use that word, but we aren't privy to, the behind the scenes. Of course there's been reports. I mean, who knows if it's true, but, behind closed doors, maybe, the relationship between McDermott and front office wasn't, with the Ty Dunn report, from, years past, is that, he was probably an asshole behind closed doors. Who knows? I don't want to, sit here and say that, Sean McDermott was. I mean, he always showed to be the, a great dude, but who knows, right? And maybe Terry was just not a fan of him. But again, I do, even with that said, I do believe that, he should have been sent off a little bit better than that. Now, what I will say, though, I think we got a little bit too emotional in regards to the idea of how long the tribute video came out. Like, they kind of have to have time to make it, right? Oh, it took them 30 hours. Like, come on.
Why didn't they repost his farewell letter? Why didn't they post it?
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you that. I don't think that was Terry, though. Even Terry was like,
we know damn well it wasn't Terry. I think that's a pretty easy conclusion to make. I mean, listen, and I'm loving comments like this. I think this is the 12th time, maybe the 13th time MK has commented this. You guys are acting like emotional teenage girls. What do you want us to do, MK? We just fired the coach for the first time after 9 years. This is the most pivotal, important, insane, wild offseason the Bills are about to undergo in a decade. I don't understand what some of you guys want us to come on here and do sometimes. You want us to come on here and do the Charleston like this because Brandon Beane is being retained and Sean McDermott's being fired and Terry Pegula goes and takes the press conference and everybody's watching this saying, what in God's green earth did I just watch? What is it you want us to do? Why don't you let me know what you want us to do? You let me know and I'll follow the checklist. Because what are you not supposed to have a little emotion after the Bills just went through their best run that they've had in my lifetime and you're watching it slowly come to an end? Because that's what's happening here, folks. You just had the conclusion of a 9-year coaching regime. You have Josh Allen going into his 9th year as the quarterback. If you think this is going to last for the next 20 years, I got some beachfront property to sell you in the middle of the Grand Canyon. Okay? So, yeah, it's a little emotional. It's a little emotional this time of year, watching this stuff go down. That's all.
Now,
what do you think, Pierre?
No, I mean, it's a big move. It's definitely a big move.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's a huge move for sure. I mean, the last time we felt like this in a good way was when we fired, Doug Marrone, to draft for Sean McDermott, right? It was, whenever you're having a coaching move in general, it's a massive move. Now, I will say this, though. I do feel that we are, as a fan base, getting a little bit too emotional as far as who's to blame. Who's to blame? You know, I do feel that that's the only reason why I came on, was just to defend that aspect of it. Like,
well, no, and that's where I don't think you're wrong. The problem is this is where I don't disagree with you at all in the sense of what you're talking about. My issue is we'll never know who's to blame, but because of the way that it's been carried out, it's only Sean McDermott that will ever be viewed as the person to blame. That's what I find to be interesting. Yeah. The way that this was carried out, the only natural conclusion you can come to with a promotion from Brandon Beane, a firing from Sean McDermott, and then a doubling down of it here at this press conference, the only conclusion you can come to is Sean McDermott is to blame for all of our failures.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that he wasn't certainly a part of it. We would all agree on that. Yeah. I think where people are lost, including myself, is to the point in which it's being done the way that it is. That's what I find to be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, you know, him going out how he did was a little suspect, but again, I'm perfectly fine with, and I'm well aware. I mean, I've been on X, on social media, on Discord. I'm well aware that I'm in the complete minority when it comes down to this. But I'm perfectly fine with Beane staying, and I'm perfectly fine with him the promotion is irrelevant. That's semantics. I think that's more so because, Terry doesn't want to be speaking more, so he's giving, Beane more power to just, run things because, fine. But I'm on this show right now, and I got to sign off here in about 5 minutes. I'm only on here to defend Beane. I do not understand it. I will never understand, at least right now, the hate he gets. I think one of the most, laziest narratives out there, and I've been hearing it all week, is that this roster is trash. Like, I cannot get behind that. Every layer, listen, we have an all-pro quarterback, an all-pro a running back. We have pro bowlers on the damn offensive line. We have an Ed Oliver who can't stay healthy, but fine. A Deion Walker who came in this thing looking amazing on the D-line. Our linebackers last year was solid. I don't know what y'all saying. Bernard, okay, that's another conversation. But what we had out there was solid. Super solid, right? We had Benford, who's damn near all pro. He just hasn't been picked because, it's the whole politics. I think Trey White was solid as hell. Bishop looked solid with Poyer back there. We have the roster. I don't get the idea that our roster is trash. Our wide receivers, yes, it could be upgraded. But even with no wide receivers, you can sit there and say, oh, it's because of Josh. We still had the fourth best offense in football. Last year, we had the second best first in points. The year before that, top 5 again. So it's like, that's the only argument. Our roster has been solid. Now, here's the last thing I'm going to say about that. The one defense I always gave Brandon Beane was that he always had the pulse of the team. He always felt the pulse of the fan base. Every single year, he has said, I know what we need, and he went and got it. Now, did it always hit? That's questionable. But even when he first came in, the whole talk was we have no offensive line. Our offensive line is trash. He went out the very next offseason and got Mitch Morris. He got a couple more guys. He spent money on the offensive line. Fine. That same year, we were like, okay, you tried the whole Benjamin thing, Andre Holmes. It didn't work out. We don't have receivers. We need receivers. The very next year, he went out and got John Brown and Cole Beasley. So he tried to fix it. It was working. We felt like there was something there, but we all knew we needed an alpha. We need a guy. He felt that too. The very next year that we all felt that, he went out and got Diggs. Then we go to the playoffs. The Chiefs took advantage of the Sean McDermott defense. And what we say, we need a closer. He went out and tried to go out and get Von Miller. First 7 games, 7 to 8 games, he was the Von Miller we always knew. Then he tore his ACL. Damn, that was never the same since. So every single year that he's known that we had a hole, he's always that same year fixed it. So that's why I've always had respect for Beane. He's never the one sitting back on his hands and not doing anything. Now, if I'm right, this year, the whole world knows we need a wide receiver. If he doesn't bring in a wide receiver this year, it will be the first year that he's heard the noise and he didn't address it.
Well, there's absolutely no way that happened. I mean, he knows, damn well that ain't happening. It's a matter of who he gets.
Exactly.
It's a matter of who he gets, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, listen, I understand the emotional aspect of it, man. We're rooting for this team. We want the success, but I just don't feel it would have been smart. Now, if Beane ends up getting fired here, next year, or we end up having, we hire an assistant GM that's outside of Beane, and we can maybe, but I just did not think it would have made sense for us to fire both when we're this close. I probably wouldn't have fired McDermott after the season because of how it ended, but I would not be one to sit here and say that at the end of a couple of these years, I wasn't like, okay, something has to give. So, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with it. Yeah, man. I mean, we shall see.
That we shall, brother. That we shall. It's going to be one of the more interesting off seasons in a very, very, very long time. It's going to be nuts.
All right, man. Yeah, I mean, let me go ahead and sign off here. But yeah, man, I just wanted to just come and let everybody know we're going to be good at the end of the day. We're going to root for this team. We're going to cheer them on. Yeah, we want what we want. We want to hire and fire who we want to. And when things don't happen exactly how we feel it should happen, we feel the ways. But our team is we're super close, man. And don't let no one sit there and tell you our roster is trash. Yes, we need upgrades like every damn team in the league. But our roster being trash is something I will never get behind. So, but love you, man.
Love you, brother. Thanks for hopping on what is yet another insane day in this Buffalo Bills fan base, one of many over the last few days. All right, I wasn't expecting all that. The whole squad stopped on. So we are an hour and 12 in. I'm going to try my best here. I don't have a ton of time. I really wanted to watch this whole presser with you. So I'll try my best to see if I can still do that. Yeah. Hold on.
Of our game in Denver. All the way. First, I want to thank Sean McDermott. All the work he's done in Buffalo over the last 9 years. We all remember the playoff drought before Sean got here. Sean has definitely left the Buffalo Bills in a better place than when he arrived in 2000.
Oh, for God's sakes.
There you go. Is it working? Yeah. Okay. First, I want to thank Sean McDermott for all the work he's done in Buffalo over the last 9 years. We all remember the playoff drought before Sean got here. Sean has definitely left the Buffalo Bills in a better place than when he arrived in 2017. He gave his heart and soul to trying to win a championship. I gave Sean his first head coaching job, and I'm proud of that. I don't think he's done coaching in this league, and I wish him the best. I also want to thank him.
See, what I was getting at earlier, you don't need to go on this 45-minute diatribe about how much you're going to miss and love Sean McDermott. But just in the middle of, in the beginning of it, the fact that you're just like, we all remember the drought. He's leaving it a better place than it once was. I gave McDermott his first job, and I'm proud of that. And now we're on. I just feel like there could have been a little bit more. Could have listed off a little bit more of what he did, the accomplishments that he had, whatever. It just doesn't feel like he's being let go after 9 years. It feels like he's being let go after a couple of years. This feels like what you would do if you were getting rid of a coach after 2 or 3 years, not after 9 years. That's just how I see it.
And his wife, Jamie, for the kind words and thoughts that they gave to me when Kim had her sudden cardiac arrest. And, it was really encouraging for all the kind thoughts that they gave our family while we were going through that ordeal. My decision to bring in a new coach was based on the results of our game in Denver. I want to take you in the locker room after that game. I looked around. First thing I noticed was our quarterback with his head down, crying. I looked at all the other players. I looked at their faces and our coaches. I walked over to Josh. He didn't even acknowledge I was there. First thing I said to him, I said, "That was a catch." We all know what I'm talking about. He didn't acknowledge me. He just sat there sobbing. He was listless. He had given everything he had to try to win that game. And looking around, so did all the other players on the team. I saw the pain in Josh's face at his presser, and I felt his pain. I know we can do better, and I know we will get better. I want to express my confidence in the guy sitting next to me.
So essentially right there, what he says is that, I don't know, from what I take away from that, I'm firing Coach McDermott because we lost yet another heartbreaker, and Josh Allen was crying about it, and we are going to do better. I struggle with this just because of how great of a tenure Sean McDermott had in Buffalo. You're talking about 3 straight playoff years in which they've lost by 3 points. 3 points, that's it. And in this past game, Sean McDermott did not turn the ball over 5 times. To have watched that game and saw the emotions of the players, and your immediate takeaway be, we need to fire the head coach. That's a rough conclusion to derive from me. If you wanted to do this a couple of the times in years past, I almost would have been like, yeah, this makes sense. But to say this result comes after the Denver game, I'll take you into the locker room. We don't even need to be taken into the locker room. We saw what happened in the locker room. I just don't understand how seeing that then ultimately results in finding somebody else that's going to immediately transition this team into a whole new realm. I don't get it.
Me, Brandon Beane, and the job he has done in resurrecting this franchise. I'm not going to sit here and defend everything that we have done as a franchise, but the bottom line is we have attracted good people here. Brandon has brought in Joe Shane, who's now the GM in New York, Dan Morgan, the GM in Carolina, Dennis Hickey, former GM in Miami, and our own Brian Gain, who's still here with us, former GM in Houston. There have been some very talented people that Brandon is associated with that he's brought through the front door here at One Bills Drive. I'm aware there's criticism out there about our franchise. Does anyone know what the numbers 523, 2226 represent? I'm asking a question. No? That's our seeding over the last 7 years in the playoffs. 5, 2, 3, 2, 2, 2, 6. An organization doesn't carry that kind of record without being a great organization and without having great players. It's impossible to have that kind of results without having a good roster.
This is what I'm getting at. This is all a fluff piece for Beane. So Sean McDermott has no credit in doing any of the things that were just said? All these seedings. Look at the success. You don't do that without a good roster. You don't do that without a good roster. You don't do that without a good head coach. You don't do that without a good head coach. You don't do that without good players. You don't do that without one of the best quarterbacks of all time. So basically, is that just to say you don't do this without the drafting job of Brandon Beane?
I hear it from my counterparts at league meetings. A lot of them talk about the Bills organization and the success we've had through the years. Our roster is a direct reflection of the hard work that Brandon and our scouting staff has done.
This is unbelievable to me. I mean, you are essentially painting the picture being painted here is that the success of the Buffalo Bills over the last 9 years is almost exclusively because of Brandon Beane's drafting and offseason acquisitions. Is this not what is being showcased here? If you don't think Sean McDermott is being tossed in front of a bus and taking the primary blame for all of the Bills' failures during this time, while Brandon Beane is being propped up on a pedestal and saying, hey, he did everything he could to give this team their best chance, I don't see it. Brent, I'm going to send you a link. Right now. I want you to hop on and come talk to me. Go find a new team to grift off of. I'm going to send you a link. You come on and tell me what I'm doing wrong. I'll send you a link right now. You come on and tell me what I'm doing wrong. Hop on. I'd love to hear your thoughts. on the team. I'm going to send you a link right now, Brent. You can hop on. Give me your thoughts. This is about the 9th comment you've had in a similar fashion the last couple of days. So let me get that link for you. Let me send it along. Can't wait to hear your thoughts. Can't wait. Go find a new team to grift off of. What in God's name are you talking about? Are you guys not listening to the same thing I'm listening to? Listing off the seedings, listing off what he's hearing from counterparts. And it's all because of the roster. Not anything to do with what Brandon Beane's done.
through the years. One may complain over a deal, over a player, over a result. But the bottom line is success over a long period of time means we're doing something right. We are focused on bringing a Super Bowl to Buffalo. We have an MVP quarterback in Josh Allen. I'm looking forward to having a successful coaching search. I know this is a desirable job. Our phones are ringing, and we're going to begin that process. So I'm going to turn it over to Brandon. Go ahead.
Thanks, Terry. I want to first off echo how Terry started this, thanking Sean and his family. Even before arriving here in Buffalo in 2017, Sean and I started our journey together, him as the D coordinator, me working my way up to assistant GM in Carolina. So that connection and that that relationship, I know, factored into us building 9 years, 9 seasons here, and a lot of accomplishments together, things that we always worked on, things to get better, but we always did it together. And I'll always appreciate the years. And, you know, you think about the things that you could have done better, but I'll also try to remember all the great times that we've had. And obviously this is the start of a new chapter, but Sean's a heck of a football coach, and we'll always root for him and his family. I want to thank our players, our coaches, our support staff. You know, I wish we were, as I've said a lot, I wish we were preparing for an AFC Championship game instead of up here right now. We know how close we were again. We just didn't get it done in Denver. But it wasn't for the lack of effort. And I told the team on Sunday that I'll remember this group as a resilient bunch. And I said resiliency is the one word the 2025 Bills will kind of always, as I look back on my tenure here. So I want to thank them all. We have a lot of work to do this offseason, like we do every year. We'll have decisions, and I know you guys will have roster questions or particular player questions. We'll answer those the best we can, you know, about the salary cap and things like that. And listen, I understand the frustrations out there. No one puts more pressure on me than myself. You know, the term pressure is a privilege is spot on. And this job is a privilege. Working in this organization is a privilege, and I don't take it lightly. We have, as Terry alluded to, an MVP quarterback who just completed his 8th season here. And we have got to help him get to the Super Bowl and bring a championship to Buffalo. And part of the reason we're here stinks because we have to discuss, you know, what happened this week moving on from a head coach. I bear guilt, blame, responsibility. There's no finger pointing. I understand there's things I could have done better. And we're always looking to get better, and that'll never change. If we don't win the Super Bowl next season and I'm up here explaining where we are and what we have to do, there will be more things that we will work to get better. The goal here is to bring a championship to Buffalo. We've been close, as Terry said, 7 straight years in the postseason. I think he listed all the seeds. We have to get it over the top, and that starts with finding the right head coach. And we're starting that process as soon as today with interviews. So with that said, I'll turn it over to questions for Terry or myself.
Hey, Terry, you mentioned that you thought it was a catch and told Josh it was a catch. Why would you fire a coach based on a bad officiating decision?
Great question.
I did not fire a coach based on a bad officiating decision.
Maybe
if I can take you into that locker room, I felt like we hit the proverbial playoff wall year after year. 13 seconds, missed field goals, the catch. So I just sensed in that locker room, like, where do we go from here with what we have? And that was the basis for my decision.
Brandon, there's a report out.
So once again, I don't necessarily disagree with it. Like I told you guys before, if a change felt like it was needed to be made, then fine. Hitting the proverbial playoff wall, then fine. The way that this is being carried out to me is what's awfully confusing, what's leaving me scratching my head, where it just feels as though all of the blame is put on McDermott, none of the blame put on Beane whatsoever. He is then elevated within the building. And I guess more than anything, this time around too, where it felt like of all of the games that felt that McDermott had the biggest impact on losing, this was the least of them all. Now it was time. And then on top of it, you know this to be true. You know this to be true because look at the public outcry from the coaches, from the fan base, the media, everyone saying the same thing. This didn't feel like the time to do this. And if you were going to do this, why is Beane's job safe? It also felt like the Bills had absolutely no pulse on how the fan base felt about McDermott. Sure, there was a good portion of the fan base that wanted McDermott gone, obviously. But I think the Bills underestimated just how many people really did love Coach Sean McDermott. I think the Bills also underestimated the resentment that currently exists for Brandon Beane after this past season. After the stunts he pulled this last season, I think this organization underestimates what that wound up doing for his public perception. And that's why I don't think this is delivering as easily as maybe they thought it was going to. Plus, you don't post his farewell letter. You just really don't give him the best send-off, in my opinion. I don't know.
There's a report out there that there was a meeting 5 weeks ago, and Sean expressed dissatisfaction with the roster. The report is that was part of what has led to this today. You're not being happy with his assessment. Either one of you gentlemen could answer that if that was true.
I don't know where that came from, but we bet all the time. I talk to Sean every day. We talk about being dissatisfied with this, being happy with that, and whatnot. But we communicate it all the time, and I don't know where that came from.
Given the fact that Brandon was promoted, and congrats on that, and Sean was fired, both played a role in the success and failure of this franchise. What came down to one over the other, or was it that easy?
Like I just said, I believe it was, where does the leadership of the team on the field and in the locker room, where we go from that moment, which, another playoff failure, and that's why I decided that Sean had to leave. Basically, as to say that Sean McDermott didn't have the leadership of the team on the field and in the locker room, where we go from that moment, which, another playoff failure, and that's why I decided that Sean had to leave. Basically, as to say that Sean McDermott didn't have the leadership of the team on the field and in the locker room, where we go from that moment, which, another playoff failure, and that's why I decided that Sean had to leave.
How far before the
Basically, as to say that Sean McDermott didn't have the leadership of the locker room. Have you not saw the outcry of players since he's been fired? Seems like he's been one of the more likable and lovable head coaches amongst his players in a very long time. You're telling me that the leadership was stemmed through Beane and not McDermott? That doesn't even make any sense. I just don't understand. This doesn't quite. Let's run this back just a little bit here. A locker room, where does the leadership of the team on the field and in the locker room, where we go from that moment, which, another playoff failure, and that's
why I decided that Sean had to leave.
But it completely skirts around the question that Beane didn't have to leave.
How far before the playoff game had you maybe started thinking about this being a possibility?
After the playoff game, in the locker room.
This is what I'm sorry. Do you guys buy that? I mean, do you guys really buy that there was no consideration given to Sean McDermott being fired until walking into the locker room of the Broncos-Bills game on Saturday? Do you genuinely think that that's true? Because if that's the case, I would argue that that's 10 times worse than if it were already given credence prior to. I mean, how is that even possible? The far more plausible and understanding answer would be, we've been considering our options for a while. We wanted to see how the playoffs were going to go. Unfortunately, it didn't end up going the way we wanted it to yet again. And because of that, we felt like we need to make another move here. No, I walked into the locker room, saw guys were very upset and emotional, and I said, it's time. Fire McD is saying it may have been a tipping point. You could argue it might have been the straw that broke the camel's back, but that's not what we're being told here. The decision to make the firing, Pagula just said it was based on that, which leads me to believe this was a very brash decision. This was a very heat of the moment decision. It would make sense to me if you went into December and you said, look, if we don't end up making the conference title at the very minimum, we're going to have some conversations. Okay, fine. But for you to say that you didn't even consider that, and this is where it comes back to where my point was. I understood everybody wanting change or getting to the point where you're saying we need change. But for this change to come off the back of a heartbreaking loss in which I thought McDermott did not play much of a part in compared to the others. No, well, I am listening. Let's run it back. I am listening.
Had to leave. Why I decided here. And that's another playoff failure. And that's why I decided that Sean had to leave.
How far before the playoff game had you maybe started thinking about this being a possibility?
After the playoff game.
How far before the playoff game did you wind up thinking this was a possibility? After the playoff game. I know he mentioned earlier the playoff failures, but based on that but I know before that statement, he had another comment that referenced the 13 seconds and missed field goals. I know that, Walt. That question right there. When did you consider firing him? Not until after the playoff game. Right there. Right there. I know he said that there were other times that have led up to this, but he did not make it seem like those were the contributing factors until all of a sudden they were the day after that playoff game.
In the locker room. So it wasn't a thought of I need to keep saying that. I keep saying it. It was feeling the moment. Being there. Being there.
Feeling the moment, being there. He could have elaborated by also saying it was the moments I've witnessed in the past, too, a culmination of all these moments. He pretty much said he was fired because of a moment. You know what's ironic is that if this exact same thing would have panned out after the 13-second game, I don't think anybody I don't even think anybody would have argued about this. Honestly, I think I might have come on here and been like, what are you going to do? I mean, what can I even say to justify this? Right? Like, what can I say to justify this? You just blew maybe the worst playoff loss in NFL history, or at least one of them. How can I sit and justify this?
Sorry, Terry. What process did you go through to evaluate whether it was, coaching versus talent on the roster? Over time, how did you evaluate it? What process did you go through?
Well, you see teams in the league, I'm not going to mention team names, but they have a great year, a good year, and the next year the success doesn't continue. Like I say, you don't get in the playoffs 7 straight years in this National Football League where there are very few blowouts and dozens and dozens of close games every year. You don't get there without having talent and a great organization, and Brandon and his staff have brought in regularly players that, look at the injuries we had this year. We're down guys on the practice squad contributing in big games.
Guys, did you just hear what I just heard? I'm going to run that part back.
Back of the Brandon talent, where there are the playoffs 7 straight years. Like I said, the success doesn't continue this year, but they have a great year, a good year, and the next year the success doesn't continue. Like I say, you don't get in the playoffs 7 straight years in this National Football League where there are very few blowouts and dozens and dozens of close games every year. You don't get there without having talent and a great organization, and Brandon and his staff have brought in regularly players that, look at the injuries we had this year. We're down guys on the practice squad contributing in big games. You don't do.
You got guys on the practice squad contributing in big games. You don't think that might have something to do with the coach putting them in position to succeed? You don't think that might have something to do with the coach putting the practice guys in position to succeed? Robert Saleh just did this all year long with the San Francisco 49ers with a makeshift room of guys, backup guys, just landed himself a head coaching job last night. All I keep hearing is Brandon Beane this, Brandon Beane that, the roster of guys he's built. Has any team in the league that was in the playoffs more criticized about their roster this year than that of the Buffalo Bills? And yet somehow, even down to the fact that the Bills have practice squad guys contributing, is all because of the successes Brandon Beane has had. You got him saying that the practice squad players have been contributing, but apparently that has nothing to do with what the coaches have done to help them get ready to contribute, put them in positions to contribute. You don't do this, and that without a great roster. You don't do this, and that without a great coach either. I said this yesterday. For all of the shortcomings I could list off for McDermott, I could also list off all the successes. For all the shortcomings I could list off for Beane, I could also list off all the successes. So why is it that all of the shortcomings are pinned on to McDermott and none of the shortcomings are pinned on to McDermott or Beane. I mean, Walt, you're on my ass today, brother. Everything I'm saying, you got something for. So Beane doesn't get credit for finding good practice squad talent. That's not what I'm saying. I just told you what I'm saying. Beane should get credit for finding practice squad talent. Why does McDermott get zero credit for having that practice squad talent ready to go out on the field and play well? Why does it have to be just one way or the other? I don't understand. You mean to tell me that all the practice squad guys are just up and ready to rock and ready to go because Beane picked them? I just don't get it. I just don't understand. You're putting the man in a lose-lose situation. If he was waxing poetic of the praises of McDermott for successes for an hour, it would only make the decision more questionable. Exactly. That's why him waxing about the successes of Beane right now for an hour makes it that much more questionable. Do you not see what I'm saying? You give none of the credit to McDermott. You give all the credit to Beane. Does that not seem a little bit questionable, or am I just nuts?
Do that without talent in the front office getting you there.
A big chunk of the fan base very frustrated with you specifically, dating back to that interview that you did on WGR 550. Thought it was very condescending, and I think that a lot of people have come out frustrated with you, particularly that you're still here and Sean isn't. I think a lot of it leads back to that. Do you regret that, and do you think in hindsight maybe not only the host but the fan base was kind of right about that assumption about the position?
It's a long, probably, answer for you, Matt. Listen, I'm a passionate person. I don't think that's new on anybody. And do I regret that? Probably the biggest regret is I probably put pressure on the wide receiver group when I reacted in that way because I felt like they were being picked on unfairly. And if you remember, not trying to rehash what happened, but I was going, man, we had, the number 2 scoring offense, and we were just, we had some tweaks there. It wasn't the exact same group, but it was a similar group that we thought, an addition here or there. Even when I did that interview, I knew we were adding Elijah Moore later that day. And so it was probably more of a reaction to, we just had a draft of defensive guys that we thought could help this team get over the top, and it was more in the defense of that group. Do I regret how it's turned out? Sure. It was not meant to be condescending. It was me having a little bit of too much passion, I guess, if you want to say, hey, I shouldn't have done that. At the end of the day, it wasn't. I had nothing against those hosts. I think I did another interview with those guys. I've done them before. I did it at training camp when the next opportunity was. So it wasn't anything personal or anything like that. It was just more coming to the defense of our players because I felt like they were being picked on and they couldn't defend themselves at that point.
Further to that, though, the wide receiver position has been an issue with this team, and a lot of people out there believe you have failed in the free agent market, and then obviously with the Keon Coleman signing, which hasn't worked out. How do you answer the fact that you have not given Josh a good enough wide receiver room thus far?
Yeah,
Can I interrupt? I'll address the Keon situation. The coaching staff pushed to draft Keon. I'm not saying Brandon wouldn't have drafted him, but he wasn't his next choice. That was Brandon being a team player and taking advice of his coaching staff who felt strongly about the player. And, he's taken, for some reason, heat over it and not saying a word about it. But I'm here to tell you the true story.
Yeah. So everybody in here all day, right? I know, Walt, like I can understand wanting the more blame attributed to Beane, but to think McDermott deserves more praise. You know what he doesn't deserve is that right there. On the way out the door, you pin one of the biggest busts this team's drafted on the guy while he can't sit there and defend himself. That is absolutely embarrassing. That is pathetic. That is absolutely absurd. That is one of the worst possible bites that has come out of one of these teams' interviews, press conferences in a very long time. And by the way, that guy's still on the team. How do you think that kid feels? How do you think that kid feels today? You have one of the worst picks this team has made in the last 3 years. And the GM that you had who signed off on the pick, you sit there, you not only promote him, you blame the draft pick on the coach you fired. But I just got through hearing 5 minutes ago that Brandon Beane has done a well of a job drafting a bunch of practice squad guys who have succeeded for this team. So who was doing the drafting then? Sean McDermott or Brandon Beane? Because apparently when guys succeed, like Josh Allen and the practice squad players that Terry Pagula is referring to, that's all credit to Brandon Beane. But when Keon Coleman is drafted and doesn't do well and is healthy scratched 4 or 5 times, well, that's on McDermott and the coaching staff. How bad of a look is that right there to not even let Beane respond and you step in and say, hey, just to let you know about our most recent bad draft pick, yeah, that was on the coach we just fired. I can't even believe that.
The coaching staff pushed to draft Keon. I'm not saying.
How do you answer?
I mean, the lack of awareness to also know that he's still on the team, too. The guy's still on the team. You imagine Keon Coleman sitting at One Bills Drive packing his locker with this on in the background, hearing that? Your owner basically telling you, yeah, we made a massive mistake, and the guy we just fired is the reason why this guy's even on the team. Which, by the way, it seems like won't be for long, I would imagine.
The fact that you have not given.
And you know what sucks the most about this is it seems as though Beane was going to try to find his way to talk himself out of this one. And Terry said, nope, let me grab it.
Josh, a good enough wide receiver room thus far.
Yeah, can I interrupt? I'll address the Keon situation. The coaching staff pushed to draft Keon. I'm not saying Brandon wouldn't have drafted him, but he wasn't his next choice. That was Brandon being a team player and taking advice of his coaching staff, who felt strongly about the player. And, he's taken, for some reason, heat over it. And
he's taken, for some reason, heat over it. He's the general manager. He's taken heat over it. That draft pick the Bills made, well, somehow he's taking heat over it. Gee, I wonder why that is. Oh, I don't know, because he's in charge of doing it?
Not saying a word about it, but I'm here to tell you the true story.
Can you finish that answer, Brandon?
I hope to God we get a McDermott response to this from somebody from somewhere. I mean, this is crazy town.
Yeah. At the end of the day, Sal, it's some of it is the evolution of how you build your roster. If you look back to, let's go to the 2020, 2021.
And just to give you an example here, as Beane starts to talk, this is the one. And don't get me wrong, like this whole thing, I feel like there's this misconception that I can't stand Beane. That's not the case. I like Beane. My confusion stems from the fact that we are now watching Sean McDermott have to bear the cross of all of the Bills' struggles of the last decade while everybody else gets off scot-free. That's what I can't stand. I absolutely cannot stand this. Brandon Beane, everybody is being completely they are being completely removed of fault, but Sean McDermott. What I love about Brandon Beane, though, is the way he handles himself in situations like this. This is why I was so stunned that, like, when he went off on that WGR rant or whatever, it was so out of character for him. I was so stunned by that. He's really good at dancing around the PR musical chair situation. He's really good at telling you a bunch of stuff without telling you anything. The fact that Terry Pagula just jumped in and did that was so bad. Was so bad. Because Beane would have given you the most politically correct, whatever answer. Now you have all this other stuff to add on to it. Now you have this whole other issue that is now being shined over Buffalo, and that is the ownership. Where Terry Pagula had essentially been silent during the entire Bills Allen regime, now this is one whole other issue that will now be focused on during this entire process. Because Beane would have been asked about this question like he would have answered it with some nonchalant whatever answer no one would have cared about. Instead, Terry Pagula grabs the mic and essentially blames it on Keon Coleman, on Sean McDermott. Plus, I saw this too from what is it? Hazet? Yeah, there's a video of Beane scouting Keon Coleman at the combine talking about his 40 time. I've seen that. If I could just answer for you. And wow.
On those before we paid Josh, okay, we made the move for Stephon Diggs. Obviously paid him. Cole Beasley, John Brown, Emmanuel Sanders, drafted Gabe Davis. We were in a lot of 10 personnel. The game changes. It evolves. Some things don't change, but some things do. And so the league at that time was, and what our coaches asked for back when Brian Dable was here, was to spread things out, okay? We want to spread these guys out and get mismatches. Well, then defenses started saying, okay, we're going to get smaller and more athletic, so we're going to bring things in. You've seen the last couple of years, we've been in more with more tight ends on the field, running the ball more. So there's just different iterations of how you score points. And you have to, when you're paying Josh what you're paying him now versus what you were paying him in 2020, 2021, 2022, you got to make some sacrifices. And where we pick, we're not picking at the top, okay? When you say free agency, like, I'm not sure what players that we could have acquired, that I've got to be able to afford them, okay? So you're making selections. The number one thing I always want to do with Josh Allen is protect him, okay? We've had an O-line that's gotten better and better.
All right, okay, we're almost near 2 hours. I wasn't expecting the fellas to hop on earlier, so I can't keep going on this much longer. I got a life I gotta pursue the rest of the day, unfortunately. I'll get to a couple super chats. I'm just gonna read them aloud. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to elaborate them. I'm sorry. We're 2 hours in, and I got an appointment I gotta get to. I did not expect this to go this long. So, Brian Bowers, that was an awful press conference. What a joke. We all should be worried of this regime going forward. Brian Bowers also adds, Terry Pagula sounded like Woody Johnson up there, absolutely detached and clueless. We are in trouble, in my opinion. I hope I'm wrong. We got Rocky dropping off a super chat saying, Mr. Pagula sounds so clueless, shaking my head. We got Jay saying Pagula has no idea what he is doing. We have Dabro. Pagula is legitimately not very smart. Bills will regret this decision internally. We have Brian saying, Z-Bot, F the video, just keep spitting facts. I didn't see the presser, but the quotes are out there. Yeah, we finally got the audio to work, thank God. Raggedy, can you and Rico do a little chime in tonight with fans? This is all fascinating. I just have such a different perspective at the moment. We will win. Yeah, let me talk to Rico. Maybe we'll do something again tonight. I'd like to talk about this more. I just can't right now. We have Aoife coming in. Hey, Z-Bot. I had to take a mental health break from all things Bills, but I'm back from the psychiatrist and therapist. What have I missed? Well, Aoife, you missed a wild press conference that we just went over, and it's all over social media, so make sure to go take a peek. Aoife saying, also, don't forget my DM. Love you, Z-Bot. Yeah, I'll take a look at that, Aoife. I love you guys so much. Do good, be good. God bless. Go Bills. Appreciate you, Aoife. Money Mitch, the lead robster, seemed like they weren't even ready for questions. Yeah, I mean, you would have thought they would have been a little bit more prepared. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Dan Mitchell said he loves what they said. Yep, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Aoife, Jem, they got close to the obvious, but didn't talk about the necessary topics. Pagula should just sell the team. Aoife's also saying, Rico Pierre, I think y'all need to let Z-Bot have his show so he can get through this presser. It's Pagula's fault. Let's move on, please. We have Hosa. If I'm the owner and I see fans celebrating before the games in the parking lot, there's no need for the owner to spend more money. Signified 2021 was a championship roster. That's almost undeniable. And the Chiefs dropped the most points they ever put on us on that roster. Once again, Signified, that was 5 years ago. Beane is a joke. Does he not know does he not know there's video of him at the combine saying he wants to draft Keon? Saw that too. Signified coming in with a banger. There is hope for us. We can get out of cap hell with some cuts. We can fill those holes with a great coach. Can be the guy who takes us over the top. Dan Reeves got Denver to 3 Super Bowls. Mike Shanahan got them over the hump. Well, only time will tell, but it will be with somebody new. Ryan saying, my favorite part was that the next coach isn't SBOB. Why not give Sean another shot? Next 3 years is absolutely SBOB. I do not know what SBOB is. Maybe I'm missing something. Lightning Bear, welcome to the drought. Terry doing what Terry does best. Sabres 2.0. Lightning Bear, McDee's 1 draft produced 8 Pro Bowl seasons and 2 first-team All-Pros. Beane's 7 drafts produced 2 Pro Bowls seasons and JA. Money Mitch, I wanted change, but also wanted honor due to McDermott, show a little more class and be a little more transparent. Guys just didn't seem prepared for questions and seemed surprised by negativity. Aoife saying, honestly, Bot, we need to move on from the past. I think that's what they're all trying to do at this point. McAndrew Graphics, I love Pagula's reason why we lost was because of a bad call by the refs, but then says the reason why he let Sean go was a direct result of the game. Sean lost his job because of the refs, which he then clarified that he didn't. Yeah. Wish I had more time. I'm sorry, folks. That's over 2 hours that I was not expecting to spend. I thought we were going to watch the press conference and get out. This went a little longer than I anticipated, but I appreciate all those super chats. And next time around, I'll make sure to spend far more time on those super chats and reading them aloud and diving into them. On the way out the door, give a shout out to my friends over at Sleeper. Link in the description below. Click that and sign up for a Sleeper account. Once you do, you will immediately get a free $20 entry. You can use that on Sleeper picks for the AFC and NFC championships, the NBA, the NHL, you name it. It's all on Sleeper. Once you use your free $20 entry, use the promo code on your screen, BF25, and you will get a 100% match up to $100 on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper terms of use for details. Currently available in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper via the link in the description below today. All right, sorry for that. That was not the greatest stream of all time, to be honest. Took 20 minutes to get the audio up. Had a bunch of people coming in and out and whatever. So we will have a better one coming your way later this week. I promise. I apologize. Plus, I'm sick as a dog still, so I probably need to get back to bed or something. I got a stupid appointment I got to go to, but I got to go make sure that I don't have something contagious. So, all right, I'm out. Much love, everybody. Let's continue down this process of insanity that is the offseason of the Buffalo Bills in 2026 together soon here. All right, much love. Go Bills.